people ask,
what do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to be?
What do you want to be?
What I want to know is,
What I want to learn is
what I want to find out is how to do it.
How to get there.
how to get there, how to get there,
How to be what I dream.
how to be what I dream.
How to be what I dream.
How to be what I dream. Be what I dream.
Be what I dream.
Navigation 101.
navigation.
Navigation 101.
The advisory program is maybe the best program I've ever been involved in 34 years of education. Every student has an opportunity to discover their own uniqueness and become intentional about fulfilling their needs in their lives and planning in a very systematic way for their future. And that's every student across the board.
It gives me a different role to play. All day long I'm talking about English and and I'm all worried about the skills and making sure that they can we've met these Ehlers and Glees and this is an area where there are some things that need to be met, but I can connect with them in a different way.
My favorite thing is that it blends so well with the work I try to do as a career counselor. I really try to work with students on the three major questions, who they are, where they're going and how they're going to get there. And I see so much of the advisory work around those same three questions.
My favorite thing about advisory is that as a teacher you are able to create this unique bond with students that I think you can't get in any other class, simply because you're going to be connected with these kids for the next 4 years.
For me, the thing I like about advisory is that I get to work with students over a period of time.
My favorite thing about Navigation 101, besides the fact that it has definitely given the students a path to follow, and is the relationship that I have gained. And I could start tearing up here at any moment. The relationship between students and myself, and students to students.
Remember that with any class, your connection with that group takes a little bit of time to develop. And so this gives me a class that not only do I have that year, and you have that bond at the end of the year, and then everybody goes their separate ways. This is a class I'm going to have the next year and the next year.
So I guess my favorite part has just been being with that same group and knowing that everybody kind of knows each other and seems comfortable, and they'll go off, hopefully that they've made some skills, some advancement in their skill level to how to meet other people and not judge.
So really it's the students. I mean, seeing what students can do if they are given the chance to prove themselves.
It's really a neat process. I really enjoy getting to know them in a different way other than the counseling role.
Because that connection you're going to have with that student for 4 years, in the end, I think at the end of the 4 years, it's going to be all worth it. I think it's going to be more rewarding than any other experience that you're going to have. One
of the amazing benefits of advisory is that students will interact with an advisor over a 4-year period of time. And that interaction is centered around students as individuals. It's centered around their particular interests, their aptitudes, planning, goal setting. And so the curriculum itself lends the advisory to a kind of relationship that is much different than a normal classroom. Teachers become more connected. Students become more connected with each other, and they see each other more as individuals and human beings, and that does tremendous things for the environment of a school. The advisory creates a situation where mentors and advisors have the opportunity to help students understand the connection of what they're doing in school presently, the kinds of courses they're taking, the type of curriculum that they're planning, and how that relates to and connects to their future. So there's this sort of relevance of what I'm doing now, and it's intentional and purposeful as far as where I'm going to go in the future.
And it'll help me later in life.
The students can no longer randomly go through high school and expect to leave high school with great opportunity. In the world we live in, it requires that students plan, prepare, and have the kinds of skills that are going to open the doors that are important for them after high school. Without planning, who knows where a student's going to end up? Who knows what opportunity they're going to have?
I think for most of us, we feel like oh my gosh, this is another prep.
It is an additional expectation on teachers.
Sometimes I think it's overwhelmed. You know, you get so busy, you think I don't have time to read all this.
I say the minimal approach would be 5 to 10 minutes of prep. Some of them are going above and beyond.
It's just like any subject matter. All teachers will teach maybe the same thing, but in a totally different manner.
It's just a matter of reading through and highlighting what needs to be hit.
Some people teach it to music, some people have games, some people are just straight lecture. You know, some people it's a lot more participation. It really doesn't matter. There's a theme or a purpose for each meeting.
We have it pretty well laid out, even when I'm busy and I don't think it went smoothly for the students and everything. It usually typically goes off without a hitch, which is really nice, and that goes to the people who coordinate all the lessons and the activities.
The curriculum is written in such a way that you can step right in. If you understand the goals of the objectives of the program, you can step right in.
So however it's best for you to teach that and to get that idea across, then that's the way you should handle it. Not everybody has to use an overhead.
The Navigation 101 curriculum needs to be adopted, changed, modified to fit into an existing school culture so the school can say, this is our program. It's not something we're doing because the state says we have to do it, but it's something that's important to our school and our district and our students and our staff believes in it.
Teachers aren't expected to have all the answers. No one has all the answers, and I think that what they bring to the table as an advisor is who they are. They bring themselves, they bring the knowledge base that they already have. At the same time, they're learning new things and they're acquiring new information and new skills as they go through the curriculum. But basically, we understand that they don't have all the answers and we don't expect them to. The advisors do fulfill a resource and referral role, as all educators do. Students have questions that oftentimes no one has the answer for. And so, knowing that they don't always have to be experts, they can always refer that student in the proper direction to get the kinds of information that they need. Oftentimes advisors are referring students to the grade level counselor, for example. And that's good. That's very good that they're being asked and someone is finding a way to get the information that they need.
My advice to an advisor, a new advisor, is to, like we tell our students, check your attitude at the door. Realize that if you come in there enthusiastic, the students will be enthusiastic, and you need to model that enthusiasm throughout the advisory.
But I think that the way the teacher approaches it totally affects the way the students in your advisory view it.
The first thing is to be flexible.
They go in with an open mind, as with anything, and it seems especially true in education. We don't like change, and change is tough for educators. But it's a good change.
There's a lot of fear and trepidation at first, but please, that's not what it's all about. Because it gives you as an advisor a chance to establish an individual relationship with your students. Therefore, you're able to help them a lot better, and ultimately, it works out. I mean, we've had great success here.
As with any class, you know, when you come and say, God, this is going to be a really hard test. So all the kids are like, oh my gosh, as versus, you guys, you're so ready for this, you're going to do great. Well, same thing with advisory. If you come out and say, well, this is really stupid, but we have to do it. Well, gee, that's a great intro.
When students realize that the teachers are open and flexible, then they're going to be flexible.
My advice to the teachers would be, don't be afraid to not know all the answers. You as a classroom teacher are going to get asked questions that counselors might get asked, that administrators might get asked, that teachers outside your curriculum area might get asked. You don't have to have all the answers. You can help students find the answers, and a lot of this whole process is getting them to take ownership of those questions and find out for themselves.
My advice would be to give it a chance. You know, look at the lessons, preview them, you know, get familiar with them, make them fit your personality. Don't just go by the script and implement it just as it's written. If you can manipulate it like you would in any other lesson to make it fit your personality, do that, but make it work and give it a chance and give it some time.
The curriculum is a good curriculum, sequentially planned, developed by a group of experts with the idea of what the needs of our students. So the curriculum needs to be followed because it's a good curriculum. On the other hand, we want to allow for individual differences as far as advisors go, that you can tweak it a little bit depending on your own personality and how you want to do things. We give them leeway to do that, which is good because that's what we want our advisors to do, is be who they are in the confines of that curriculum. Through the advisory program, goal setting is an important issue, and we do some initial training and teaching about goal setting, and then we give them actual chances over and over again to apply that knowledge on a personal basis. Throughout advisory, we continually look at, as individual students, we ask them to look at where they're at in their lives and where they're headed and what they're achieving, if in fact they are on the path that they want to be on. And so we're constantly reflecting on that and resetting goals yearly. Advisors hopefully want to create an atmosphere in there that is not so intense and pressurized as sometimes in a normal curriculum classroom, and that have some patience and allow the relationship and the students to develop and understand and eventually truly engage in the curriculum that is placed before them.
To be honest, in the beginning there was some anxiety because it was something I wasn't familiar with. I mean, it was teaching something that I wasn't really trained to teach.
For people who are really focused on primarily teaching their subject area, it's uncomfortable because some of the conversations are messy because they're about human relationships.
What I bring to advisory is my vulnerability, because truthfully, it's new every time you do it. If you don't share and reflect your path in life, you can't make that a realization to the students.
The materials in Navigation 101 are so real world that it leads you into these great conversations that you can have with kids, and out of those conversations you develop relationships that I think you don't develop in any other setting.
Just that whole idea of teachers can be vulnerable, because students learn how to be vulnerable when a teacher can do that safely, and advisories provide that opportunity to do that. I don't mean throw your whole life on the line for a kid, but definitely let them know that choices are hard and decisions are hard.
It allows the teacher to be able to get to know a student and nurture them with goal-setting things and life things.
You wonder, well, is this so corny they're not going to buy in? But then when you present it to them and they see what it's about and you see what the benefits would be for them, it's really rewarding. It really is. Some lessons that I thought wouldn't fly have really turned out well, because the students see the value and I see the value, and things just seem to work out. So initially it was uncomfortable, but the more we do and the more variety of lessons we experience, I think the more comfortable I'm getting.
One of the great challenges in advisory is that initially when you meet as an advisor with your group of students, there's an awkwardness there. We don't know each other, we don't really know why we're here for sure. We've heard some things about the program, but we really don't know what it all entails. And I think you have to be patient to trust that there are good things going to happen and that it will develop over a period of time. And you just have to sort of be patient with that. I think that being an advisor in and of itself gives teachers a different sort of relationship with students. Rather than being one who dispenses knowledge, it requires that and it gives them an opportunity to develop a more personal relationship with a group of students. Well, the curriculum lends itself to creating those kinds of relationships because it is a personalized curriculum. It's not just about curriculum as many of their classrooms are, but it's about individual students and who they are and what their plans are and where they're headed in the future. What happens is that I've noticed over the 4 years with students is that those relationships become very, very important, and you become very attached to one another. And so as students begin to do their conferences at the end of the year, there's a certain amount of emotion involved and a sacredness involved where I am witnessing my students tell their story of who they are. You know, when you have an opportunity to witness the magical things that happen with kids through our advisory program and the sacredness of the actual act of students becoming clear with who they are in their lives, and you know that they're on the right path, I mean, that's immeasurable.